You're listening to the AstroMommy Weekly Horoscope, a forecast that hopes to shine a light in the dark, helping us all see where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Whether you're a first-time listener or a long-time subscriber, thanks for being here. I truly appreciate you being in the AstroMommy community. I hope you enjoyed this week's horoscopes and card reading. If you would like to support the AstroMommy Newsletter, there are several ways to do so. Subscribe on Substack, share it with a friend, schedule a reading, check out my family's Etsy shop, Metaphysical Flamingo, or just leave a tip. Without further ado, here is the weekly horoscope. Our train has arrived. Time to get off and celebrate. Venus and Mars meet in Aquarius, Mercury ingresses into Pisces, and the full moon in Virgo opposes Saturn. Weekly forecast for Tuesday, February 20th, 2024 through Monday, February 26th, 2024. Good morning, friends. Well, thanks for being part of the AstroMommy community. I truly appreciate you all being here. Last Friday, I announced the winner of the free mug contest in celebration of the second anniversary of the newsletter. Congratulations, Azarel. So happy to have you in the community and can't wait until you receive your mug. I don't know about you, but I am excited for this coming week. My sister and her 2 daughters are coming to visit for a couple of weeks starting on Thursday, and we have many fun things planned for their visit, including a crystal unit study for homeschool that is sure to be loads of fun. Okay, let's get into the astrology. All times are in Eastern Time unless mentioned otherwise. The weekly overview. Our trains went through many new realities over the last couple of weeks, and now it is like we have arrived at our destinations, exited the train, and now we are approaching the people and experiences in this new space. What this destination looks like and who is welcoming your arrival is individual to you, but since we are now in Pisces season, I bet it's dreamy and surreal. This week, we start with the moon in Cancer, squaring the nodes on Tuesday, representing a public or open event that sets the stage for the rest of the week. We are building up to the long-awaited Venus and Mars conjunction on Thursday, representing some passionate experiences coming up. Plus, Mercury ingresses into Pisces on Friday, which could symbolize some confusion and foggy weather. And finally, the full moon in Virgo perfects on Saturday, cutting through the fog with precision like someone who is a master of their craft. One of the other transits that is starting to build big time this week is Mercury's upcoming cazimi, which is his conjunction with the Sun, and both the Sun and Mercury conjoining Saturn together, all on February 28th, 2024. This conjunction will happen at 9 degrees Pisces, 44 minutes. Saturn enters 9 degrees of Pisces on Thursday of this week and opposes the full moon in Virgo from 9 degrees Pisces, 14 minutes, which I will talk about in that section. But interestingly, Mercury's cazimi is at 9 degrees Pisces, 14 minutes, which is the exact same degree that Saturn will be at during this week's full moon. So this full moon holds some powerful clues or information about the news that is on the horizon. So not only have we arrived in a new destination, but we are looking forward to fun, passion, and celebrations this week with possibly some underlying serious news that we will have to handle like adults. Let's go over the 3 main transits of the week and then a 3-card tarot spread. Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. Venus and Mars conjoin in Aquarius. This has been a long-awaited conjunction, the last being on March 5th, 2022, also in Aquarius but at 0 degrees. Venus and Mars got really close to meeting up last summer, but then Venus stationed retrograde at the end of Leo and Mars sped ahead. So this conjunction has the feeling of a long-anticipated union of the 2 archetypes. Let's take a look at the chart of this conjunction. You can see Venus and Mars in the lower left of the chart between 6 and 7 o'clock, co-present with Pluto and Mercury and approaching a square to Jupiter and Taurus. The moon has just separated from an opposition to the pair and is approaching a square to Jupiter herself. The Sun is only 5 degrees away from conjoining Saturn, which will perfect next week on February 28th, 2024, at the same time as Mercury's cazimi. Venus is the goddess of love, affection, relationships, friendships, beauty, sweetness, perfumes, and pleasantries. She represents art, theater, parties, and joyful events. Mars is the planet of war, drive, libido, and force, and represents cuts, surgeries, sports, and aggressive events. Both of these planets represent sex in some way. Mars symbolizes the masculine, extroverted sexual desire and the male genitalia, and Venus the feminine, introverted sensual desire and the female genitalia. Venus represents fertility and the archetypal woman in all her stages, maiden, mother, and crone, and Mars represents the driving force behind sexual desires and passion, including the very act of penetration needed for procreation in the physical sense. If blessed by Jupiter, the ruler of sperm, Mars and Venus conjoining could result in procreation. Especially with Pluto so close by, his presence could be a strong argument for a powerful sexual union. The square to Jupiter, though, could indicate that it will take work to make it happen. With the moon opposing the pair, there is a decision to make about it all based on one's feelings, or there could be the sense of family, tradition, and loyalties that are creating a pushing and pulling effect. So Venus and Mars are trying to make something together, and the blessing from Jupiter is there, but requires work and effort. There is a potent, underlying, powerful force with Pluto so close, and Venus and Mars having just conjoined Pluto within the last 2 weeks, back to back. The moon in opposition means that there's a decision to be made that involves our feelings, our bodies, our families, our intuition, our ancestors, our heritage, and we may feel pulled toward consummating our love, but there is always a caution with oppositions that there could be regret. This transit is about your desire to create, getting a boost of energy, and possibly some support. But there may be a catch and some decisions you have to make that involve your feelings, your family, or your finances in some way. There's a lot to ponder and think about with this one. Friday, February 23rd, 2024. Mercury ingresses into Pisces. Mercury enters Pisces at 2:28 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday, February 23rd, 2024. You can see Mercury in Pisces at the bottom of the chart, right at 6 o'clock. Mercury is now co-present with the Sun, Saturn, and Neptune. Mercury this close to the Sun is combust and approaching his upcoming conjunction, or cazimi, with the Sun. Mercury is on the other side of the Sun to Earth, and that is why he is not retrograde during this upcoming conjunction. In the above picture, you see Mercury on the other side of the Sun from Earth's perspective on February 23rd, 2024, approaching his conjunction with the Sun, which will happen in 5 days on February 28th, 2024. In the next picture, you can see Mercury again above the Sun, and if you drew a line from Mercury to Earth, it would be a straight vertical line. You can imagine if you were standing on Earth looking at the Sun, you would not be able to see Mercury because he would be hidden from view. Even if Mercury is just to the right or left of the Sun, we still would not be able to see him because of the Sun's overpowering rays, and thus he would be obscured from our view. That is why he is said to be combust. The ancient astrologers believed that combustion was one of the worst things that could happen to a planet, and meant that the planet did not have as much agency to deliver its fate during that time. Not only is Mercury combust, but he has also just entered into the sign of his fall, Pisces, which is opposite the sign of his exaltation and rulership, Virgo. Mercury symbolizes our mental capacities, communication skills, and thoughts. So with this ingress being so close to the Sun, we could feel a lot of confusion or lack of clarity. It's as if we were traveling along the freeway and then the road took a turn directly into the Sun, and now we literally can't see what is in front of us. No matter how much we try to shield our eyes and get a clear picture of the road, it is almost impossible, and so we are driving along blind. Mercury in Pisces, in a general sense, represents communication that comes through means other than straight, direct words. It can still come through words, but they will be poetic, mystical, and lyrical. Mercury and Pisces natives are notorious for telling wonderful stories and going on long tangents. They are great at description and narration, but don't always listen to directions or lists. They are often musical, artistic, creative, and theatrical people who have a knack for art, poetry, and playing instruments, basically any way of describing life or communicating via the arts. You can see the moon in the chart above in Leo, but by the end of the day, she will ingress into Virgo and oppose Mercury in Pisces, which symbolizes feeling like we need to make a decision about something. Perhaps we decide that the light from the Sun is just too much and we get off the highway and wait until it sets before we get back on so that we can see where we are going. Something we are feeling and have been thinking about is going to come to a head, and we may feel pulled toward making a concrete decision based on our reality. The moon at this stage is only 5 degrees away from being full, which will perfect by the next morning, so something is coming to a head or a peak point. Saturday, February 24th, 2024, full moon in Virgo. We begin the weekend with a full moon in Virgo opposite Saturn at 5 degrees Virgo 23 minutes at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The full moon is a time when the intentions you set during the new moon 2 weeks ago in Aquarius have come to a peak point or a culmination. It can also signify endings, as often when something comes to its highest point of creation, the next part of the cycle is the deconstruction process. The moon has reached her fullest potential, and now she will begin to wane, losing light as she approaches the next new moon in Pisces in 2 weeks on March 10th, 2024. You can see in the chart above the opposition between the Sun and the Moon, and both applying to Saturn. The Sun approaching his conjunction to Saturn, which will perfect on February 28th, 2024, and the Moon approaching her opposition to Saturn, which will perfect several hours later on Saturday afternoon. Whatever we are celebrating or ending will involve Saturn. So this means that we may experience a reality check, emotional inhibitions, or an increase in feeling lonely, isolated, serious, or responsible. If we are celebrating something coming to its peak, there may be a melancholic feeling attached to it as we let go of what it was and the happiness that it brought. If we are ending something, it could feel very serious and heavy, and we could experience grief or sadness. Also present in the full moon chart is an applying square to Jupiter from both Venus and Mars. This means that on the full moon, the destiny between Venus, Mars, and Jupiter is unfolding, bringing in some big feelings and powerful creative energy. I will talk more about the squares between Mars, Venus, and Jupiter in the daily horoscopes. So this day could be a day for celebration and or endings, and it could have a serious or sad feeling to it. This full moon is curious to me because a couple of days before this, my sister and her 2 daughters will have arrived to visit, and this Saturday we are planning on going to see a fossil exhibit at a local museum where we will be looking at and learning about very old things, fossils, and dinosaur bones, and the stories that they can tell us about the past. Saturn represents very old things, and he also represents the passage of time. One of his nicknames is Father Time, and so I just find it fascinating that he is involved in this full moon, and me and my family will be observing very old fossils and dinosaur bones, as well as geodes and crystals, which are also Saturnine, in that Saturn crystallizes things. So this just feels like it fits the plans for our day so well. It's fascinating. Sometimes the archetypes show up in such mundane but beautiful ways, like the celebration of family visiting and going somewhere fun mixed with looking at old dead things that tell a story. Plus, this full moon is happening in my 4th house of home and family. Here are some questions to ponder during this full moon. What are you celebrating today? What are you ending? What has reached its fullest potential? Which archetype fits your life right now? Briefly below, you will find the house that this full moon is occurring in according to your rising sign. Find your rising and read the house topics associated with this full moon. You may notice a celebration or an ending involving one or more of those topics. Aries, 6th house of stress, health issues, employees or coworkers, and pets. Taurus, 5th house of pregnancy, children, creativity, and recreational activities. Gemini, 4th house of family, roots, and property. Cancer, 3rd house of siblings, communication, and local travel. Leo, 2nd house of money and possessions. Virgo, 1st house of self, health, and character. Libra, 12th house of blind spots, large animals, hidden enemies, and mental health. Scorpio, 11th house of friends, allies, groups, and wishes. Sagittarius, 10th house of career, praxis, and the mother. Capricorn, 9th house of foreign travel, higher education, and beliefs. Aquarius, 8th house of shared resources, inheritance, debt, and death. Pisces, 7th house of marriage, partnerships, and legal matters. I wish you all a happy full moon. Okay, moving on to the tarot spread. Let's move on to a 3-card spread for the week that will represent the past, the present, and the future. The first card representing the past is 10, the Wheel of Fortune, reversed. I love biddytarot.com's description of this card and would like to share it with you. Quote, the Wheel of Fortune card shows a giant wheel with 3 figures on the outer edges. 4 Hebrew letters, Yad-He-Vah-He, the unpronounceable name of God, are inscribed on the wheel's face. There are also the letters T-O-R-A, thought to be a version of the word Torah, meaning law, or tarot, or even rota, Latin for wheel. The middle wheel has the alchemical symbols for Mercury, sulfur, water, and salt, the building blocks of life and the 4 elements, and represents formative power. On the outer circle is a snake, the Egyptian god Typhon, the god of evil, descending on the left side. The snake also represents the life force plunging into the material world. On the right side rises the Anubis, the Egyptian god of the dead, who welcomes souls to the underworld, and on top of the wheel sits the Sphinx, representing knowledge and strength. In the corners of the Wheel of Fortune card are 4 winged creatures, each associated with the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. The angel is Aquarius, the eagle is Scorpio, the lion is Leo, and the bull is Taurus. Their wings signify stability amidst movement and change, and each holds the Torah representing wisdom, unquote. In the upright position, 10, the Wheel of Fortune, represents good luck, the many cycles in life, our destiny, karma, or a turning point in our fortune. In the reverse position, it can represent misfortune, cycles breaking, or changes occurring that you may have resisted. As the card for the past, I feel that in the past, you may have felt like you were experiencing some bad luck or a low period. Perhaps you experienced both highs and lows simultaneously, as some cycles were ending and others were beginning. Perhaps in the past, a cycle was broken. The second card representing the present is 2 of Swords reversed. On this card, we see a woman wearing a long white flowing dress and sitting on a stone bench by the sea. She is blindfolded and holds 2 swords in her hands. Her arms are crossed across her chest, and she looks deep in thought. Above her rises a waxing moon. The 2 of Swords symbolizes that you may not be able to see your situation clearly. The woman on this card is holding 2 double-edged swords, which means that she is thinking about something she has to make a decision about that will cut both ways. In the reverse position, this card means that you have come to a standstill about something. Something in your life may feel like a checkmate situation, and so you feel trapped and stuck. As the card that represents the present, this could mean you are feeling like there is too much information coming at you at once, and it's too confusing or burdensome to make sense of it all. So you're frozen, just waiting for the chaos to end. Or you feel indecisive or confused about something and you're just not sure what to do yet. And the third card representing the future is 4 of Wands. On this card, we see 4 wands, 2 on each side of an opening, a threshold to walk through. The wands are joined by a beautiful garland of flowers and foliage, creating an archway. Through this archway are friends and family, all dressed up to celebrate you and your achievements, your union, or your success. A nice house sits on the hill behind the party, symbolizing your new life. The 4 of Wands is a card of celebration, joy, and harmony, and represents coming to the end of a cycle and starting the next part of the journey. Marriages and graduations are good examples of this energy, where the commencement of one season is celebrated and the beginning of the next season has begun. As the card for the future, I feel this shows that we want this great life, the happy ending, and a big party. We want to feel a sense of completion and consummation, like the celebration that is being depicted on this card. The consummation of one thing, while at the same time starting something new. It is usually a joyous card representing a feeling of happiness and what you've achieved, an end to a particular chapter, and excitement and elation at what's ahead, the next chapter. With this card, the future looks bright. To recap, in the past, you may have felt down, unlucky, in a low period, or perhaps were dealing with some unfortunate events. In the present, you are feeling a bit lost, confused, or uncertain about what decision to make moving forward. In the future, happiness awaits. In the future, you have crossed a threshold and ended a period of struggle, indecision, and strife, and will start a new chapter that begins with some happiness and celebration to kick it off. In conclusion, for the weekly forecast, I think this is a really powerful reading to accompany a full moon week, since full moons are a time of endings where we are celebrating something coming to its peak and inevitably starting the next stage. It's an interesting set of transits this week for sure, and with the moon squaring the nodes on Tuesday, I am sure it is going to start off with a concrete event that will color the whole week. I would love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment. I hope this is helpful. Until tomorrow, AstroMommy. Thank you for reading or listening to the weekly horoscope. Quick links and resources can be found at the bottom of the newsletter. This week's cards were pulled from the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot, available on Amazon. If you seek knowledge and enlightenment, the AstroMommy Newsletter may be right for you. Side effects of reading or listening to the AstroMommy Newsletter are common and include joy, jubilation, delight, happiness, gratitude, love, triumph, feeling in tune with the universe, experiencing deep insights, reflections, and contemplations, a lightened soul, a lighter step, feeling awake when others are asleep, illuminated, enlightened, having spiritual experiences, noticing repeating numbers, animals in nature, or songs on the radio that speak to you, getting vibes, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsmelliance, feeling like you know secret language, biophilia, crying tears of joy, emotional literacy, feeling lively, stable, exalted, having an auric glow, or feeling like you woke up on the right side of the bed have all been reported. If you purchase anything through the affiliate links that I provide in the newsletters, I will make a very small commission. Thanks for listening.